What's going on, guys? Welcome to February's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and throughout the month we play it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And before we get into what we played, which is Soul Calibur 6, let's go through some quick reminders that you have this week left to play Hitman Season 1 and For Honor. Both offer for free on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those, come back at the end of this week. We'll be talking about those on Plus Club. We're actually splitting up the episodes this week because we had to get an episode out this weekend, and we're doing Game of the Month. But we'll be doing Plus Club Wednesday, Thursday. We'll figure it out. Tasty Tuesday as well. So come back for that. Also, we're moving into a new month. So got to pick a new game of the month. And this month is my pick. We're doing a new thing this year where every 3 months, one of us gets to pick. And the last quarter of this year, you guys will get to pick. So that'll be exciting. Mm-hmm. I get to pick the next game of the month. I'm going to do it right now before I get into the next quick reminders. I am picking Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. In case you haven't played that game, it is an isometric top-down Diablo-esque game based in the Warhammer 40k universe. I have played on PC. I recently picked it up for PS4. I think it plays really well in there, and it's on sale right now if you guys want to go play it with us this next month. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy it. I'd like to play it multiplayer, and I've been really enjoying it so far. What do you think about that before we move on?
Well, for transparency's sake, I knew you were going to pick that. Mm-hmm. So it's not a surprise. But as far as that being the choice, I haven't played it. I have been interested in trying it. This kind of just pushes me to do so. So that'll be interesting. I don't like speaking for Chris, but I'm sure I can in this regard. This is the right kind of game for, I think, all three of us.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times where I think we pretty much always will unanimously say, oh, yeah, that's the kind of game I like to play. So
that's one of the reasons I was going to pick it. I was thinking about maybe doing Apex Legends because it's still kind of hot and fresh, and I know you're kind of enjoying it. I'm definitely enjoying it. But I was playing Inquisitor Martyr, and I was like, I kind of want to play this right now, so this would be a good month to just say, let's play this. And I have a feeling you guys are going to like it. So anyway, yeah, in March we will be playing Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr, and I will be calling that Inquisitor Martyr for the rest of the fucking month because I'm not going through that whole thing. Also, we have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all time. We are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. And yeah, I think that's all the intro stuff. Chris is not here. We will get his opinions on Soul Calibur 6 next time he's on the show. So if you want to see that, make sure to stay tuned. Also, real quick, just for Jeremy, because we love you so much, we just saw Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, yeah.
Real quickly, what'd you think of it?
It's good. I liked it. If you're a fan of the anime or manga, I think you kind of have to see it. I personally feel that it was very spot on with that. And any weaknesses it does have, I think, are overshadowed by how much they did right in the movie. So
yeah, we talked about it a little bit, and I think the only weaknesses of the movie are what seemed like a weak script, perhaps, and some of the way people talk to each other. But the more I watched it, I realized it's more of a pacing issue. It almost seemed like they had so much they're trying to fit into the movie in 2 hours that they just kind of rushed through some stuff that probably need a little more gradual character building. But other than that, I thought the world was really cool. The action was really cool. Rosa Salazar, who plays Alita, did fucking awesome. Really, really liked the action. We didn't see it in 3D, though. I want to see it in 3D. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was meant for that. And, overall, I really liked it. So hopefully you enjoyed our really quick discussion, tasty flicks review of Alita Battle Angel. If you could grade it, what would you grade it?
B+.
B+? Yeah, I'm feeling B+ too. Yeah. So we give it a B+. Make sure to go check that out if you are so inclined, or if you're curious, check it out. It's a fun movie at the very least. So let's get into this fucking episode. So in February, we played Soul Calibur 6, and by February, I want to also say real quick that we had a week off from the channel, not on our own decision. But Weather decided that we were not going to participate in the channel for a week. So we got shafted a little bit. on time this month to play the games, but we have made an effort to play all of them.
All of them. Yeah.
So I actually have Soul Calibur 6 paused right now. I was playing it right before filming, so we're going to talk about that. If you did not get a chance to play Soul Calibur 6 and you somehow do not know what Soul Calibur is a series of fighting games that have existed since Soul Edge came out on PlayStation, but Soul Calibur's has been out since Dreamcast. It is a 2D perspective, 3D weapon-based fighting game that's very much situational and dodge and block heavy, that takes place in kind of a historical setting. Very many cultures and weapon types and types of people are filled in the roster. It's a very popular series. I hope you've heard of it. And yeah, we played that this month. So let's start with you on your impressions this month of Soul Calibur 6.
Okay. I don't imagine this is going to take very long just because of the nature of the type of game it is.
It's fine. We can do a short episode for once. We're already 10 minutes in.
Overall impressions are it's a very well-made game. I didn't get a chance to play the last one, but from what I've heard from you and others, it was probably the weakest in the series.
They fixed it.
I feel like this game plays really well.
Yeah.
I know also the last game I think had finishing moves, which I thought was kind of a weird thing at the time.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't get to experience that, this one I don't think has them, which is good.
Not that I know of, but
Yeah.
I didn't play it as much this month as I would have liked to.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't play it that much this month. I did play this a lot when it first came out. So this was more of just kind of a refresh and to try stuff I didn't really get a chance to dabble in. I went ahead and I bought the season pass. I wanted to check that stuff out. Even though that isn't necessarily heavily what we should be talking about. We should talk about the base game, but just to kind of talk about that.
Game of the month.
Briefly.
It's not as strict. Plus Club is what's offered to us.
Oh,
Game of the
right,
month
right,
is
right.
wherever the fuck, man. Doesn't matter.
So you get, I forgot, Tira, there's her name, who is a character I really do enjoy from past games, but I only got to use her for a little bit. She seems like she pretty much plays the same, which is cool.
It's funny because I went through and played every single character at least once just to kind of get a feel for them, and they changed quite a bit of them. Some of them, none of them in ways that I hate, which I very much appreciated because they really fucked Keelik up in 5. But Tira's probably one of the most true to the last game's character in the game. She played almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I would say I didn't see anything that I didn't recognize. But I also, I don't play this game or any of these games super heavy, so I don't have this in deep knowledge of any of the characters either. So, but she felt familiar, which was great. Used 2B a little bit. I think she's a really neat character. She's brought into the Soul Calibur universe really well. My only complaint is a lot of her moves are kind of like autopilot, which I think is really weird. If you just hold a button, she'll just do multi-hit combos. So I think it's kind of cheesy. I don't know what the damage difference is between other characters, stuff like that. So I don't know if she's broken or not, but she feels kind of broken in my opinion. I am not a professional, so don't take my word.
Soul Calibur has a long history of their bonus characters not really being balanced that well.
Geralt feels very balanced though, which is funny.
Well, yeah, he's one of the first, and fucking Darth Vader was one of the closest to being balanced of that era of Soul Calibur, but Yoda was fucked up. Starkiller, what the fuck his name is.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Bald Boy,
yeah.
He was fucked up and way overpowered.
Spawn
Was overpowered. Fucking so many of their characters have been overpowered. So Geralt does feel legit, but he also came with the game, whereas these other characters are DLCs. And Tira, they probably just took a lot of the assets from a prior game, although in their faces you can tell they're not the same character models, because 4 and 5 had the same fucking faces. But 2B does feel like novelty. Yeah. They put her in the game. She looks awesome. Her moves look fucking dope as shit. I love playing her, but I never feel good when I win because I feel like I'm barely interacting with her as a character. I'm just beating ass, and I'm just impressed with how well they did her as a character. Full transparency, as soon as I started this game up, I went and bought the fucking bonus shit. I didn't play the game yet. I just went and bought it because I knew I was going to want it. So I also played 2B and Tira. But yeah, 2B, very cool character. I'm so glad she's in the game. Maybe they can balance her a bit later. But she does feel OP, 100%.
Well, yeah, and I kind of figured because I think, and I don't want to speak for him. Obviously, he'll have his own opinion, but I think Chris also expressed that he was or she was kind of broken. So
I didn't hear him talk. Where on Discord?
no, he brought it up in an episode before.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it was really brief. Though it is cool that her voice actor is there, and even the pod, sounds the same, and the little Easter eggs in her moves are kind of neat too, like sitting down to fish and stuff like that. It's really cool. So, if you played Nier,
did you play her stage?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Bummer.
Yeah. It as soon as it started, I was like, oh shit, this is straight out Nier Automata, and
out of reaction, I hit random.
So did I. And I got that map on random.
Oh, nice.
And like just behind like all these bars, there's all those robots just hanging out too in the background and shit. It's pretty cool. It's really neat. Like for Soul Calibur 6 to have Geralt and 2B in it, I mean, this has got to be the best guest roster I've ever seen in a Soul Calibur.
Man, Square's just given Nier to everybody lately.
It's fine. Nier's awesome and should get hoard around
It's
all
gonna
over
be
the place.
main raid in the next Final Fantasy 14
Fine, that
expansion.
game needs. I really want another one.
Oh yeah, it'll happen. But anyways, this isn't Nier talk.
Could be.
It could be. So when I originally played the game, I played through everybody's storylines as far as the main character roster of the game. So I played the main story and then the off stories for all the main characters, maybe minus like 2 people. And then I made custom characters for everyone's fighting style minus DLCs because I didn't do that yet. So I had a lot of fun with that. I really liked the character creator. I really hope they add more assets later.
Me too.
One of the DLCs they did add some stuff, but it's all like Japanese like school uniforms and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to make a high school kid as a fighter, so wasn't really into that so much. You do get
A lot
the
of
other
creeps
DLCs.
are.
Possibly. I do think in the Nier one stuff though, they also gave you the outfit from Dragon Guard 3, I think it was. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and yeah, there's stuff themed to that came with it. Yeah.
And yeah, so this time I tried out the DLC characters and then I dove into, I think it's called Labor of Souls, unless I'm getting it backwards, but it's the one where you get to make a character and they have their own story mode that is also very reminiscent of like a board game. And I played that a little bit with a character I made that uses 2B's fighting style because I wanted to get some practice with that as well. And it's pretty neat. So far, I didn't get very far, so I can't really give you an in-depth review on that. But I do think it's cool. There are different situations, different fights, buffs, debuffs. You find weapons. You find stuff for your character. There's food that'll give you buffs for one.
Yeah, I was
fight,
impressed
stuff
that
like
you level up and get better weapons.
One that you can eat food for buffs and stuff is
Yeah.
really kind of an interesting twist as well. So, and that's by choice. Like, I'm going to do this mission. I probably would do better if, like, I don't know, I could break blocks easier, or like my health regened a little bit, or blah blah blah, type of thing. So, really creative, and I've given them a lot of props for that because this is the second of 2 fighting games now that I would say is worth $60. So
Yeah, no, we're getting into a place where old school genres really got to up their game because other genres have upped their game. Like anything that's an RPG nowadays is a $6 game typically. Anything that's an FPS typically is going to have a lot of longevity. Sports games are, upping their game, whether it's, Forza Horizon, which is just a real big, robust open world RPG essentially with a shitload of cars, or Steep, which is like every snow sports you can think of. It's getting harder and harder to justify a game where you stand on the left side and right side and hit each other over and over again. I know a lot of people who are purists, are probably, thinking, no, I'd still pay $60, but it really makes a case when you're playing a game like Soul Calibur 6 or Mortal Kombat, where you're getting so much game, just a whole suite of content for $60 versus a game that might come out that would have like 8 characters to fight against and like a versus mode and a campaign mode,
For sure.
That's like a $40 game to me now. So in that case.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I've done. I did this month. I didn't play it as much as I would have liked, but like you said, we kind of lost a week.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's why I'm going to kind of go through a couple things. I try to sample everything. Because I had to make up for the time that we lost. So I hopped into Versus and I went through every single character and played them all. And a couple things I want to throw out there is, as everybody knows, Keelik is my favorite character in Soul Calibur. I really like his moveset. 5 fucking gutted me when they made him essentially Weapon Master from the last games. It's completely stupid. In this, they've changed his moveset. There's a lot of familiarity there that I'm happy with. Some of the moves are different. I've noticed most of the characters all have pauses in their combos for I believe for balancing, which I think is smart, but I have to get used to it. So I'm not stoked about it, but I think it's fair. I'm glad they did it because some characters in Soul Calibur have been kind of fucking OP. Nightmare, Ashtroth when Josh plays him, Maxi, Keelik when I play him. Fucking, there's some characters you can flow with forever. So I'm glad they did that. So Keelik feels good, but I think it's really interesting that Sung Mina has some of Keelik's old moves now. Her and Keelik used to play completely different. Now she has some of his legit same moves, same button combos. I knew how to play her like instantly. And I know how to play all the characters like the back of my hand pretty easily. But I started using her and I was like, they took some of Keelik's moves and gave it to her. Which is cool to me because now there's like 2 Keeliks. So I'm just like, I liked her already, but now she's like her and she has some of Keelik's moves. She has that move where Keelik just starts fucking stabbing forward and shit. And
like slapping their legs or whatever.
Yeah, and the one where he swings like this under a couple times, you can just hit him like multiple times pretty hard. She took all those moves from him. So, but he has a bunch of new moves. So that's really interesting. Yoshimitsu plays better than he ever has, in my opinion, in this, which was really weird. He flows really well. Grow is a cool character. I was kind of worried because he looked kind of generic, but I like that his weapon is kind of a short-ranged weapon, but also breaks apart to do almost seems like heavier damage. A lot of times it seems like he's hitting with both weapons. I think he's pretty neat. I forgot. I think his name's Aswell or something, or Asmongold or something. That fucking WoW dork. He's got a name like that. But he's like a wizard dude. I don't like that guy.
I don't either, except for I like using his weapon on an NPC that I've made. I made an NPC. She's like a doll. And she just looks really, really creepy. And then she has his weapon, so she just manifests weapons as she fights. And I'll just have the the computer user to fight, and it's really fun to watch. But
in every Soul Calibur, there's always some character that I look at. I'm like, you're fucking ridiculous. Like there'll be like a dude who just has pretty much like a cloth on his dick, and he's just big and buff, and his hair's all wicked, and his eyes are glowing white. I'm like, you're the most generic looking thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. He's pretty much that character of this game, and he looks better than most of them. So I have to give them credit. Like, it's cool. You can get use out of his character for creation. And when I look at him, he looks like a fucking magic user type dude. But at least he has some style to him. Because like I said, every Soul Calibur always has some dude fucking who's just super generic looking. It's like, why is he here? And why is he all powerful? So, they made that character, and I played him. He's whatever. He has one move where he, like, shoots a bunch of shit into you, throws you into the air, hits you with shit, fucking jumps in the air, and, like, slams you on the ground like WWE. I was like, that's a move? That seemed like a combo. It's like I'm sitting here fucking just waiting for him to finish after I did it once.
Yeah, that's 2B has that shit, too, though, so.
Yeah. But at least she's faster about it. At least she's going... Right. And you're just like, whoa, I hit a button.
Yeah.
Why are you fucking beating his ass so hard? Who else do I want to mention real quick? Maxi feels more balanced, which is weird because Maxi has always been the dude that I've always used as an example of button mashing as a real thing. I've told people in the past, like, oh, I bet that guy can beat you if he plays Maxi. He's like, oh, I play all the time. Like, and he doesn't play all the time. And I'm like, fucking try it. I'm like, okay, all you gotta do is hit this button over and over and over again. Like, okay. And they start going, and they beat the shit out of someone. I don't know if you can do that anymore, which is a really good thing. It was kind of funny back in the day, but I hate saying that too, though, because if you're good with Maxi's moves, you can be devastating with him.
For sure.
And I got used to his moves and shit, but it's hard to differentiate if I'm button mashing or not, because someone who's button mashing might play just as well on accident.
Yeah, the way he plays now, once again, to reiterate what you said earlier about there being pauses, he also has, like, he has to finish his animations, which is a big one. which I kind of noticed because you'll get locked into him just readjusting, and you're like, do something. He's like, nope, I gotta finish this.
Yeah.
So,
Which is good.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times in this one where I did a move and they stepped out of the way and I continued doing the move. So there is almost like a sense of not wanting to just hit buttons to try and hit them as quick as possible, because you could get sidestepped and have to commit.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, because that makes me go, I need to be more careful when I attack and not just try and hit them as fast as I can. There's a lot more balance in general, which I think is really cool. There was another character I was going to mention, and I forgot who the fuck it is. Like I said, Tira plays like Tira, which was nice. Geralt, I like Geralt. I think he plays really well. I think he fits the game really well. I think he's really balanced. I think he's completely fair to play, which is really nice, because a lot of their guest characters are always just like there for fun. 2B we already discussed. She's fucking ridiculous, but still very cool and very fun to play. I really like playing her. I just never win and go, fuck yeah, I beat you. I'm just like, this is fun. Yeah. Overall, though, all the characters feel really good, so that's awesome. I didn't touch Astroth, though, because I don't play that guy. I just don't fucking touch that guy. He's too chunk.
I had to play through his storyline, but yeah.
Yeah, so did that. Played Libra Souls, which I think is a very cool mode. It is literally prior modes that Soul Calibur has had already. They used to have like their challenge mode where you would look and it have certain things to the match, like the ground slippery or whatever, and you would do it, and when you beat it you get rewards, stuff like that. They took that and they added an RPG element to it, which I think is really smart, because I always like doing that anyway to get the rewards, and it was always really fun to have those weird fights that you had to get through, and I liked the challenge of it. Having it was funny, I was like, I gotta try out the modes, so I started that one. I'm like, I pretty much get the gist of this, and I started playing it, and as soon as I hit level 2 I was like, uh-oh. I kept playing. I got to level 3. I was like, okay. I was like, level 4. All right, level 5. And I started getting some new shit. I'm like, okay, this is really smart, because it's those old modes that I loved already, but now they've added an addictive quality and little systems like exploring the map. Costs money. You have to travel to the points, and on the way there you get into fights, random encounters. So it reminds me of an RPG. It's a very cool system. I actually want to sit down and play it more, because it feels like its own game almost. It's really neat. It's got its own storyline. It's got decisions you get to make, so you get some input on your character. 99 levels. Like it's pretty cool. So kudos for that. They will be getting a higher grade from me just for that alone. I think it's a really smart system. I also think the storyline is the most coherent and best way they've ever done in a Soul Calibur. So they definitely knocked out of the park with that. I have not beaten it, but I've played it a little bit, and I really like the way they did it, because there's so many stories intertwined in Soul Calibur that they did it in like a historical timeline. I think it's a really smart way to do it, because Soul Calibur is all about like a legacy, a history that goes forward. Fucking the soul still burns, and they're really smart about it. Overall, it feels like a great Soul Calibur, which is so good to fucking say, because 5 I had to like convince myself that's okay to say it's not good. I kept trying to defend it. I'm like, they tried this, they tried that. I was like, no. It's literally 4 with some real shit new characters and really bad systems. They tried some really bad ideas. They didn't work. So 6 coming back and being exactly what I want, only complain about it. But 6 is great. Only complaint about it is I don't like, I forgot what it's called. I don't mind the one button to have your like, I forgot the moves. The fucking, the power move where there's an animation.
Oh, yeah.
You hit them, they're in the air, they're fucking getting hit by shit or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called either. But
anyway, that doesn't bother me, because it's there for everybody. Everybody can hit that button and if they want. But the one where you go into an animation, you get to decide like rock, paper, scissors, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of it. In fact, if there's a way to turn that off, let me know, because I'd actually prefer to play the game without that. I think it's fun for people who want an element of like a dynamic element in their fights, like, oh shit, this happened just now. It's kind of like in DOA when you punch someone through a fucking wall and they fly somewhere else and they're in a new area to fight, which I love. It adds something to the fight, but it breaks the flow for me. I don't like it. I feel like it disrupts and gives somebody kind of like a Nintendo Mario Party chance in a fight, which I really don't. I admire the idea, but I don't like it. Other than that, though, everything else about the fighting is awesome. Anything else? Oh, the music. Music's fucking fantastic. I'm a huge Soul Calibur fanboy. So like as soon as I hear any of that music, I'm just like, oh, I fucking love it. I love the whole setting of Soul Calibur. I love the theme. I love the fucking adventurous music, the epic music. All the characters just I feel at home, especially in that Libra Souls mode. The map has a really good song. I can just listen to it over and over again. And luckily, you're there a lot, so I get to listen to it over and over and over again. Overall though, really fun game. I'm glad I finally sat down and played it because I bought it when it first came out, and during that time every fucking game of 2018 was coming out at the same time, so I had to play the big titles to keep relevant. So finally got around to playing it, and I really enjoyed it.
All right.
So anything else you want to say on it?
The only thing I wanted to add was when you were talking about the way
character creators a little better than it was before, so that's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just need. I would really like a lot more outfits. I wish that was just like updates every once in a while.
It has a lot of outfits, but a lot of them are from prior games. So I've seen them so many times. You can do a lot with them. You can get really creative, but I've seen them so many times. I would like to see some new stuff. I just am really happy that they finally fucking changed. I mean, they built this game from scratch because all the characters' faces are different now, which is nice. I was getting really sick of seeing the same character faces in 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I was looking at Talim, and she's completely different looking than in 5 and 4. Like, she got big eyes and her body. Like, she looks like a fucking child in this. And I know it's supposed to be early in the story, but I was looking at her, I was like, she's fucking small as shit.
Yeah, except for her Under Armour's not very childlike, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, but that was the thing that was weird for me. When her armor got broken off, I'm like, how old are you?
Yeah.
This is getting weird. But I'm sure she's 48.
You're sure she's 48?
Yes.
She's aging well.
Yep.
No, the only thing I did want to add though was that when you were talking about the storyline being like a timetable of historic events during the time period, I also really like that. I especially like that the main storyline really kind of revolves around the people who were like most involved, like physically with the weapon.
Yeah.
And then everyone else was affected by the influence of the weapon.
And that's how the other games were too. They just kind of consolidated and made it more realized. It's a lot easier to follow now because the story is pretty similar outside of Grow, pretty similar to the original.
Yeah, well, it's just nice because, like you said, why beliefs the way. I'm not sure if you said exactly this way. Regardless, it is easier to follow, and so like you could take a piece of that story and go, oh, okay, this is where they were during this part, and blah blah blah, and it's visually represented for you as well. So if you just look at it, you go, oh, it was towards the end of the storyline when they got involved, or it happened right in the beginning, or they were involved mostly throughout the whole thing.
Which I really appreciate. I actually, since a lot of fighting games have existed for so long, you could easily do a timetable like that in almost any fighting game. Because, when the 6th fighting game comes out and they have to add a new character, their storyline is either going to be like, oh, that secret agency that blah, blah, blah was part of, this is another person who's part of that agency. And then you go, okay, so they were technically around back then like it starts getting kind of confusing. So it's kind of cool to get that laid out because all fighting games have like full rosters of characters that have been added over fucking 10 20 years. So it is cool the way they did that. I also like that they consolidated the story because Soul Edge came out on PlayStation. That's where we got the original story of Mitsurugi, Taki, Sophidia, all that shit, Cervantes being the main villain. And then in Soul Calibur, Kilik was introduced, and they put his storyline into that as well. Put that into the main thing. And so it kind of carried on as Kilik was kind of one of the main characters, but he wasn't in the first game. Now when we're restarting, they kind of made him part of that whole...
He's pretty much the main focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're able to do what they did over time in one intro, one beginning.
Yeah, and it makes sense, to me. Like I could have, and I've said before earlier, I didn't really play a lot of Soul Calibur, other than like I think 2 or 3. One of those I played quite a bit, but other than that, I kind of dabbled, and I would have never been able to tell you the story, just period at all. Other than like who's related to who or in what ways, but that would be it. At least in this game now, I could probably tell you at least when it comes to the people in the main storyline, exactly everything that happened
Yeah.
because it was told in a better way. So
Also, shout out to myself. I did a video where I pitched how to make a Soul Calibur movie. If you're interested in that, check that out. I think it's a tasty bit.
from a while ago, but yeah.
Where I
there's a
discussed the story of Soul Calibur. Yeah. So should we move into recommendations?
But yeah, why don't you go ahead?
If you like fighting games, it's a must. Soul Calibur is one of the premier fighting games that exist. It's out there with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. What else is popular nowadays? DOA is coming back, which is weird.
This week.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious. Isn't there a demo? I need to try it. I used to love DOA.
I don't know.
Tekken, made by the same guys. So if you like fighting games at all, Soul Calibur's a must. You probably already played it if you're a fighting game fan. If you like the Soul Calibur series, it's a must. You got to play it. They fixed fucking their mistakes with 5. If you like games where you get to make your own character, this has a pretty good character creator. I know a lot of people really enjoy making characters in it, which is really cool to see. If you like unlockables and even RPGs and you don't mind fighting games, I think the Libra Souls mode is a really fun way to keep playing a game over and over and over again in a way that's not just fighting down a fucking tier system of, Mortal Kombat, where you're going up that fucking list of guys you're fighting over and over again. There's more game there. If you also like like adventure stories and stuff like that, you might dig the way they did the story in this. It's kind of animated. It's mostly drawn, but there's some movement, stuff like that. There's a fully told story that's voice
It's a comic book
acted.
with motion.
Yeah. So you might dig that. It's kind of hard to think of other ways to put it though, because it is a fighting game. So if you're not into fighting games, I would still say check it out, because Soul Calibur's always kind of transcended in some ways because it has a lot of things to offer, but it's still at its core. It's 100% a fighting game. So yeah. Is there anything you would add to that? Unlockables, if you like unlocking things, it's one of those games where there's things to unlock, concept art, stuff like that.
It's really hard to necessarily add anything. I do think one thing to be aware of is the type of fighting game it is, because there are subtle differences between so many different fighting game types. I'm not a huge Smash Brothers fan is a great example, because I'm not into the what is that?
Smash Bros is kind of on its own though.
More like brawler style, I guess.
Yeah.
As for I like a more structured fighting game, which is more along the lines of Soul Calibur. Even Soul Calibur is a little out of my wheelhouse. I do like Soul Calibur, but I do prefer the more traditional 2D movement fighting games instead of 3D movement fighting games.
Well, that's the big one that's different. There was a lot of experimental fighting games that happened around the Xbox era, even into the 360, where people were trying to make 3D, fighting someone in this direction.
So that's what Dissidia pretty much is. So.
Yeah, which never caught on. They still kind of make them, but they're not super popular. But you got the hard 2D games, whether they're actually 2D or they're 3D and 2D, or you have these free movement 3D games like Tekken and Soul Calibur.
Yeah. And I do like these
brawlers like Power Stone and fucking Smash.
I just figure, in case you don't know for some reason, that's something you should know. It is 2D plane, 3D movement. And I know you probably said that earlier, but I'm reemphasizing it for recommendation section.
Sure.
And then other than that, if you, you kind of said, if you like the whole aspect of this almost grand, fantasy-esque story, a good example that would be the Romance of the Three Kingdoms stories, this grand romantic story. This is kind of that kind of feeling of a storyline. So if you're into that kind of stuff, the single player is really cool. And then
I don't think any game is like Soul Calibur when it comes to its world and atmosphere and storytelling.
No, it's got this weird mix between it's definitely mostly fantasy, but there's some element of sci-fi in there a little bit, it seems like.
Kind of.
It'd be pretty loose, but it's definitely
it's like historical fantasy.
Yeah. I don't know. You'd have to really kind of experience it, I guess. But I lost my train of thought where I was going with that now, though. I don't have anything else to add, I guess. I've lost my train of thought completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other recommendations? If you like hitting people with weapons, if you like weapon combat, it's definitely worth checking out. I believe you unlock weapons outside of Libra Souls. No? Ah, that sucks. Yeah, let's get into grades though. Okay. I'll let you go first.
So even with this being outside of my, I don't want to say wheelhouse, comfort zone of fighting games, because I definitely prefer 2D movement fighting games. This is really good. This and Tekken, both Bandai Namco, really, really emphasize like precise combat, which is really kind of important for fighting games, because you'll get some fighting games, they're not the big ones obviously, but like the hitboxes are sloppy and it's all about style over substance. I think
or games like Street Fighter, which are high combo heavy games and move heavy games.
I think this game has a good balance, which I think is important. There's combos, but they don't go on for days.
Yeah,
there is. It's easy for a casual person to play it, and obviously it has the ability for you to become very technical and good, really good at it. And then it has a roster of a bunch of unique characters. Some of them are very, normal style people, and other people are your Voldos and Yoshimitsu's, in the game. So like, they got that going for it too. So you can really kind of find a character that fits not even necessarily just your play style, but even like an appearance style that you think is really cool. Like I think Mitsurugi is a really cool looking character. I suck with him, but I love like his style.
And Mitsurugi's cool.
Yeah. Though he was easier for me to play in this game than he was in previous games.
They all feel more tuned.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have any complaints about the game, which is I think going to be the major factor when it comes to fighting game, because I can almost always find something that I don't really like, and in this game I don't have anything to the point where I'm like, it doesn't make me want to play it. I did play this game a lot when you bought it. I sat down, I don't know, 3-4 days just pretty much solidly playing it, and did almost the entirety of the single player experience of it. So that being said, I have to give the game an A-. It's a full game. You're getting your money's worth. You're getting play out of it. Has a lot of options, and between this and Mortal Kombat, every other fighting game really has to kind of like step up its content game, I think. So
yeah, I agree. I've been kind of shuffling 2 grades in my head, but I think you kind of solidified it. And we do this a lot, but I'm gonna also give it an A-. Just because, when it comes to other fighting games, Soul Calibur is my favorite series, and they knocked out of the park with this one. There's nothing outside of the one thing, and I forgot the name, so let me know in the comments what the fuck it's called, or I'm going to go play it right after this, and I'll figure it out and be like, oh yeah, that's what it is. But outside of that weird, duck, fucking dodge, or hit mechanic that I'm not a big fan of, but not enough to even sway my opinion of it, I think they really nailed it. They brought Soul Calibur back to where I wanted it to be. They added the best guests they've ever had in Soul Calibur, in my opinion. It plays great. They added really robust longevity to the gameplay. Like you said, it's a full fucking game, and between this and Mortal Kombat, other fighting games have to up their game to compete. I think Tekken does a pretty good job as well, but I think Soul Calibur did it better. Tekken, still feels really traditional, and it should in the way it plays, but it doesn't have a whole lot of modes to keep you playing in the same way that Soul Calibur has figured it out. So I have to give it a lot of credit for that. So A-, easy A-. I wasn't giving it a B+, but I think it deserves to be up in the A area just because it stands alone with like one other game. So that's really important to point out. It's something that I'd like to see other fighting games compete with and go, we got upper game. Like when everybody was like, oh, Mortal Kombat made a fucking really good storyline mode, maybe we should try that. And everybody's still not doing it as well as them, but they're trying now. So, and that's good because that means they're up to compete. They're at least trying. They're not just going, yeah, fuck it. And I'm not going to do that.
I think it's also important to point out that, at least for me, this is coming from a place of being a guy who just buys a fighting game and plays it. I'm not like playing this to be a competitive fighting game person. I'm playing a video game. I bought a video game and I want to get a full enjoyment out of it. So obviously, like if you're into like the competitive scene and you're trying to get really good, like $60 for a fighting game might just be price of entry for you. For a guy like me, I'm the kind of guy who waits for him to get a little cheaper to pick him up because like I'm not getting that experience out of it. I'm trying to buy like full game, and I play fighting games so like infrequently. So I think it is important when at least when I say it's a $60 game, that's not something I'm just gonna throw out there for fighting games. So
I need to try online. I know there's gonna be some really crazy fucking people on there, but I've always been better than average at Soul Calibur. I'm putting that lightly because I'm not gonna up myself, but I've always been pretty good at Soul Calibur. So I'd like to see how I can manage on there. But I know I always get freaked out playing online with fighting games because I'm always I always get annoyed as soon as there's some kind of fucking lag or some kind of delay. I hate that shit. So I always am worried. So I'd rather play people in real life. So, but then they get pissed at me. And they call me a grab ass because they're blocking too much. So I throw their ass to the ground and they're like, "Oh, you're a grab ass." I'm like, I'm just fucking, I'm beating your ass. That's all I'm doing. You got to get better. Anyway, A-, A-. We'll see what Chris has to say on it quickly whenever he comes back on, which I'm sure will probably be for Plus Club later this week. Let us know in the comments, what did you think of Soul Calibur 6? Have you played it? Do you want to play it? Do you not want to play it? Why don't you want to play it? Why do you want to play it? Are you going to pick it up? And if you're playing it, what's your favorite thing about it? What are you not digging about it? If you're not digging something about it, let us know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Soul Calibur 6. What do you think about the series? Who's your favorite fucking fighter? Who's your favorite fighter? Keelik, Cervantes.
I don't know if I have one in this game because I didn't stick with anyone long enough.
Yeah.
I jumped
think they're all
around way too much.
Yeah.
I actually probably played Mitsurugi the most this time so far, though. And that's just because my creative character for the Libra Souls mode, the first time I played, I grabbed the katana. So
Yeah. Raphael, I like him.
I barely touched him. We're getting his protege as DLC 4, though.
Protege. Yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to fighting. What's your favorite fighting game? Let me know that as well. Let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to fighting games. Guilty Gear is fucking fantastic. I love Guilty Gear. And Blaze Blue is pretty good. Soul Calibur is the best ever. DOA, I'd love to make a comeback. I fell out after DOA 3.
Yeah.
2 was awesome. Loved 2. Loved 3. Didn't play 5. I didn't even know 5 existed. It was out forever, and they, I guess, had a shitload of DLCs. And
Over 1,000.
Like, I thought it was a free-to-play game or some shit.
It is.
I'm so not interested in free-to-play fighting games. I want to buy the content, get the content. That's not a game I'm willing to do free-to-play with. Yeah. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Another quick reminder real fast that Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr is our Game of the Month next month. So make sure to play that with us. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook at Tastily Gaming. Check out my streams on Twitch at Tasty Senpai, all one word. Also, you can watch my streams on this channel as well, so you don't have to go over to Twitch if you don't like Twitch, or if you like Twitch and you don't want to be here, you can go there. Hit the notification button to know when I go live. We have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all the time. We've been talking about Anthem quite a bit. Let us know your opinions on that anywhere, really. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that. I've watched like 14 reviews on that, and they're all pretty much the same. We are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, and if you're listening to us and you want to check us out on YouTube, check us out at Tasty Loot Gaming. We film every single fucking episode. First and foremost, the podcast in audio form is secondary. Yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
Until Tuesday, for Tasty Tuesday, have a great week, guys, and take it easy.